I really love that feeling right after you finish a book, when you just shut the book and stare into space for a while. That's exactly how I felt after finishing the book I'm talking about today. It left me with a heavy heart, but also so much to think about, and I would love to share that afterwards with you. Welcome to Pages and Afters. I'm Lili. This is a place where I give voice to the feelings, questions, and lingering echoes that remain after finishing a book. There will be no polished reviews or deep academic analysis, just my own thoughts and casual reflections on the books I read. So let's get started. So, the book I'm going to talk about today is Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. Let me give you a quick synopsis of this book. So, the story is set in a junior high school in Japan. The protagonist is a 14-year-old boy, and he is severely bullied at school by a group of guys. But his life starts to change, or the story starts rolling, when he receives a secret anonymous note from a classmate who seems to be in the same situation. The notes simply say, "We are comrades." And they start exchanging letters, and through these letters they share their loneliness and become each other's sort of like a support, something that they look forward to in a day. It starts as a pure connection, but something triggers a shift, and their relationship starts to get a bit distorted. And at the end, the protagonist makes a certain choice, and that choice ultimately drives them away from each other for good. So this is actually the second time I'm featuring Mieko Kawakami on this podcast since the very first episode of this podcast, Sisters in Yellow, or Kiroi Ye in Japanese. I think it was around a month or two ago when the English translated version of Sisters in Yellow was released in the UK and probably in America. And during that time, I saw her name all over my social media. Or it seemed like at least everyone I follow in the global book community was talking about her and the release of Sisters in Yellow. So I was very much influenced by it and decided to have my own, so to speak, Mieko Kawakami week. And I read other books of hers during this week. Honestly, I didn't realize just how popular she is internationally until I started looking into it. I knew quite a lot of her books were translated in English, but I just wasn't aware of her popularity at all. As I was looking for books to read for my Mieko Kawakami week, I found out that Heaven was even shortlisted for the International Booker Prize in 2022. So since this podcast is for both Japanese and English speakers, and I do episodes in each language, I wanted to pick something that's easily available in both languages. So this felt like the perfect choice. If you haven't read the book yet, and if you like my episode, hopefully I can kind of influence you as well to start reading her books. So let's go into my thoughts and feelings. Heaven. To be completely honest, this was a very difficult book to read given the subject. It's not a long book, and I had to know what happens next. So I finished it pretty quickly, but while I was reading that book, the depiction of the bullying was so severe and so cruel that sometimes I needed to take a quick break, or sometimes I needed to physically look away from the sentence or paragraph that I was reading. It was that difficult to continue reading. And before I go into any of my other thoughts and feelings, I just want to make clear that bullying is not acceptable in any situation. I just wanted to say it beforehand. Yeah, so as I told you, the depiction of bullying is so severe and cruel that when I finished reading the book, I was very overwhelmed, and I needed some time to process what the story was. Like for example, when you see something so shocking, you register the shocks, but it takes for a while for you to process what actually happened, because the shock was so extreme that the other information kind of doesn't get processed as you read along or as you see them happen or unfold in front of you. I hope that makes sense. So I needed some time to process this, and once I've done that, there were two characters that kind of stuck with me. So the first character is Kojima. She is a girl who is also being bullied at the protagonist school as well. She shows up at school where it's obvious that she hasn't taken a shower for days. So she gets bullied for being, I don't know, like called dirty, stinky, all sorts of names from a group of girls. But in the story, it is revealed that she is in this state. She shows up at school in this state, not because of any external circumstances that she cannot control as a junior high school student, like her family is struggling financially, for example. But it is revealed that she is choosing to not take shower or to not take care of herself and show up at school with like dirt on her face and stains on her school uniform. And she doesn't, like, she has a peculiar way of looking at her situation as someone being bullied. Like I think the very specific way of coping, I believe. She says that she believes that choosing to accept and endure the pain of bullying has a special meaning in her life. And with that, she even says that she feels sorry for the bullies. To me, it seems like a twisted self-defense mechanism, but it was so heartbreaking to me, and it's really, really hard to put it into words why I felt the way I felt, but it just caused me so much pain and sadness. And then there's other character that stuck with me called Momose. He is a boy in a group of guys who bully the protagonist. But he is depicted as someone who, like, whenever the bullying is happening, like the protagonist is being kicked or punched or being done something that is beyond words. Momose is depicted as someone who just watches from the outer circle with these cold, bored eyes. So I don't know what happens behind the curtains, but at least when the protagonist is being bullied, he never ever physically hurts the protagonist, he doesn't kick the person himself. He doesn't punch the person himself. He just stands there. He's just a bystander. And there is an episode when the protagonist and the momose happen to be in the same place outside of school, and the protagonist asks him, "Why me? Why am I being bullied? Why me?" And what he said afterwards, with that cold, bored eyes, no passion, was, to be honest, very, very hard to comprehend and very, very disgusting at the same time. He basically says this. So let me just say it in Japanese and then translate it into English. So he basically says, 別に君じゃなくたって全然いいんだよ。誰でもいいの。たまたまそこに君がいて、たまたま僕たちのムードみたいなのがあって、たまたまそれが一致したってだけのことでしかないんだから。It didn't have to be you. It could have been anyone. You just happened to be there, and our mood just happened to align. This line, it's like, don't get me wrong. Having a reason to bully someone is not going to make it okay. There is no question to that. But it's like, no reason, just coincidence. The mood was right. You were at the right place at the right time, or wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know. It's like, maybe it was. Maybe it was what it was, but it's just so cold, you know? It's like there's nothing the protagonist can use to try to make sense of the situation, try to make sense of why he is in the situation he is in. Maybe there is no whys, and maybe that's the reality, but then if you're on the receiving end of it, it's like it doesn't make sense, you know. It just, I mean, it makes sense, but it just doesn't, like, it just gives you nothing, you know. But then at the same time, it made me wonder, like, this could be just how the world really is, you know. Regardless of whether that's a hard situation, like hard situation or a happy moment, there are loads of things that would just happen, regardless of your efforts. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are loads of coincidences in your life, so maybe that's just what it is, you know. So this book just left me with this never-ending kind of spiral in my head of life and choice and coincidence and everything else that comes with it. Yeah. And also, after I finished the book, I realized that there were a few subplots that were unresolved, or to me seemed like unresolved. So I was like, is it just me? Like, did I not? Maybe it was resolved, but maybe I just didn't get it. So I needed to kind of Google it, the ending, to see if I had missed something or not. And as it turns out, I wasn't the only one. So there are definitely some subplots that didn't get answered at the end. And there is no rule, there is no golden, I don't know, standard that all the subplots need to be resolved in a book. But given Momose's words that, oh, it just happened to be the way it is, it's that, yeah, maybe this unfinished feeling and unresolved subplot is just what it is, you know. It is what it is of this book. Maybe that was the intention as well. Who knows? Yeah, overall, this left me with a lingering sense of unease. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Bullying is a heavy topic. But it's just, I just want to say that it's just a part of the experience of this book. So, yeah. So this book really made me think about how we deal with things that we cannot control, whether that's fate or just plain coincidence. Like, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but Momose's words about everything being just a mood or just a coincidence are so harsh, but they just kind of stuck with me. So have you ever felt that kind of irrational coincidence in your own life that you cannot control. In those situations, do you think you would try to find a deeper meaning, just like Kojima did? There is no answer to that, but I would like to know if you have any opinion of yours. So please leave them in the comment section if you have one. So, as I said at the beginning, I was having a Mieko Kawakami week, so I'll be talking about another book in an episode after the next one. That book has a very different tone, but also have an equally deep vibe of life and your agency and the choices that you may or may not have. All right. So thank you for listening today. I hope this episode gave you something to think about, or perhaps if you haven't read this already, mirror the feeling that you've had after closing a book. If you liked the episode, please hit the follow or leave a comment. It really helps me keep going. So I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.